So for my article summary, I chose the meta-analysis of the efficacy of psychological and medical treatments for binge eating disorder. So this article provided information regarding effective treatment intervention plans for individuals who struggle with binge eating disorder, also known as BED. So I might just write BED in some of these slides. So these treatments include psychological, medical, cognitive therapy, and psychopharmacology options. So a systematic search was completed, and this included 81 published and unpublished randomized controlled trials. So randomized controlled trials are also known as RCTs, and so this totaled 7,515 individuals who struggle with a binge eating disorder. In RCTs with inactive control groups, psychotherapy, which is primarily use cognitive behavioral therapy, that exhibited a great impact on the reduction of binge eating episodes. And also psychotherapy also assisted with refraining from the binge eating. So regarding the article continued, the article during and after psychotherapy treatments, individuals were guided by self-help tools that helps people feel supported even when they are not with their therapist. So it's kind of like they go out into the community and they're able to be sort of self-sufficient and work through maybe something that's triggering them or their thought processes. So maybe this might be through journaling or just different self-help things that they can use at home. So this obviously assisted with ensuring that individuals were able to continue to abstain from binge eating disorders. So there wasn't much statistical evidence as to which treatment was the most effective in the RCTs with active control groups, but throughout a few studies, psychotherapy definitely surpassed behavioral weight loss treatment in the terms of it being effective. So also combined treatment of psychopharmacology, cognitive behavioral therapy, and self-help tools ensured long-term refraining from binge eating episodes. So kind of putting all of those and combining them together really helped folks who are struggling with binge eating. And also, just like with a lot of other disorders and conditions that we learn about, with proper support and therapeutic interventions, it's definitely possible to overcome binge eating episodes. It just takes the courage to get help, and it's a difficult process, but it's definitely you can overcome it for sure. Binge eating disorders tend to also carry a heavy stigma, and society, I think, has a lack of knowledge about how to identify and treat these disorders. So that's definitely something as social workers and clinicians in general, I hope to see a bit of a shift as time goes on, just as to how to treat people who struggle with an eating disorder. You might hear things like, oh, well, just eat, or, it's not that simple. And I think it's important to really identify binge eating as a disorder and something that sometimes, people can't control. So, but like I said, it's definitely, you can overcome it for sure with the proper treatment. And it's also just essential to educate people across the lifespan about the dangers of binge eating and its long-term effects, the emotional, mental, and physical state of being. Obviously, binge eating is a form of an eating disorder which can attack your organs, so it's not only physical, but also just the emotional and mental marathon that you're constantly running while battling with a eating disorder like a binge eating one. Next, we have the web resources that I found. So the first one was the website of the nationaleatingdisorders.org. It's also known as NEDA. I've had a friend who struggled pretty intensely with eating disorder, and I really think NEDA helped her and her family just be able to find the right resources. Obviously, it has self-help, therapeutic options, eating disorder clinics in nearby areas, and also, like I said, resources for family members who have a loved one who are battling with an eating disorder. It should be taken seriously, but just like a lot of other mental health conditions, we don't always know what to do or where to go. So I think it's really essential to be able to, for family to have somebody to lean on. Even maybe a family member might need to go to a support group. So NEDA's website is awesome. It's great, and I think it is really helpful for not only the person battling with the eating disorder, but also their family members. Second is a page just specifically for binge eating disorders. It's BEDA, and that's online resources, and kind of a lot like the NEDA page. This website provides information to help individuals find resources on like a national, state, and community level. And so also they had some great self-help articles for the client, the individual who's going through the eating disorder, but alongside just family members and friends who maybe don't know where to turn to for help. And last was the WaldenEatingDisorders.com. And so this website actually includes like entirely like online resources that can help an individual, again, battling with the binge eating disorder. And it also goes through like different treatment option plans, which I thought this was great because sometimes, I mean, before I was a social worker, I wouldn't have known the difference between like a partialization plan, like a partialization or, you know, inpatient and all of that. But it really goes through, you know, or even a clinic or outpatient, anything like that. So it sort of kind of spells it out for you, so you're able to figure out, okay, what's best for me? You know, if you're maybe a mom or a dad who has an eating disorder, maybe you have kids at home, and, you know, complete inpatient isn't really the route for you. You at least know that there are other options for you to get help. And I think that's really the beauty of these pages, is that they're super versatile, and they understand, like, it's with eating disorders, it's not one size fits all. You know, there's a lot of people who have different forms of eating disorders, like binge eating, for instance, and they come from different socioeconomic status and different, you know, life paths. So I think it's important that everybody has accessibility. You know, we can get to the insurance conversation, but it really goes through that and talks about like Medicare and what happens if you're not insured. So again, these pages are great. They helped me. I learned a lot more about binge eating disorders, and I found them super helpful. So, and that is it for all of my article and my webpage resources. Thanks.